Let's look at the first round real quick because it was historical in a lot of different ways. There were things that happened in this first round, and we'll get to this whole draft, but there were things that happened that we have never seen before. It's been a really long time. First quarterback taken, pick 20 or later, first time since 1997. First 5 picks, all defense, haven't seen that since 1991. 9 teams had multiple picks. That's never happened before.
It's crazy.
10 teams had no picks in the first round. That was weird. So that's first time that's ever happened before. 6 wide receivers, the first 20 picks.
Insane.
Saw the run on them. You knew there were a lot that were bunched close together talent-wise.
Right.
You didn't think they'd go necessarily that high.
I didn't think they would all run like that.
But there was a run on them.
Yes.
Teams needed them.
Yes.
They've gotten very expensive here. The veteran wide receivers, 5 defenders from the same school, Georgia, went in the first round. The first time that's ever happened. Of all those things, which one kind of stood out to you the most?
I think 10 teams with no picks is like definitely a strange one. Just if we can leave this up there for a sec, it's just weird. We had major cities who had no vested interests in the first round of the draft,
which I think is why the ratings were probably down.
You said it before the show, and we started to crack it off, and you're like, well, yeah, when San Francisco, Las Vegas, Chicago, L.A., and Miami, there's 5 huge cities in our country that were not involved in that draft right there.
Yeah,
it's got to hurt the ratings.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is interesting nonetheless. I think the wide receivers, 6 of them in the top 20, to me is fascinating because, again, they're growing on trees, but they're also very important, and we know with the really good ones can really change the dynamic of your football team. So that to me is going to be something cool to watch for going forward. The other thing, not even on there, the old linemen, we saw the run of them as well, which was kind of like the receiver thing where I went, man, I thought all these guys were first roundish type players. I didn't think all of them and maybe 1 or 2 other guys were going to go along with it. So there was a lot of cool storylines along with the trades and some of the gambles. And then, of course, the quarterback thing, I think, is the icing on the cake as far as conversation around that first round.
I want to get to the quarterback thing in a second here, but the wide receiver thing real quick because you do see the offensive tackles, the offensive linemen go early because they're relatively safe, right? Like you're not going to have huge busts. Like you've said this before. At worst, they're going to be like a average.
Yeah, if you got a good
guy.
one, he's going to be playing for you for a while, right? He might not be a Pro Bowler, but he's going to be there playing, right?
Seeing this happen to wide receivers now, though, I mean, is that necessarily the case with a wide receiver? Because I'm a fan of the Detroit Lions, who had a pretty good draft here, but in the past have taken wide receivers very early, multiple years in a row, and they didn't really pan out.
Yeah.
Like, are we getting to a point where these teams are more sure that these guys are going to pan out, or has the game evolved to that point?
Yes, they have. That's a first. Let's start there. I think you're right. Yeah. Yes, they're going to pan out more. It's everything. We've talked about this a little bit. It's, again, my 11-year-old's playing flag football, throwing 50 passes on a Saturday afternoon to his friends who are running another 50 routes down the field and catching the ball. It's just everything is so much more advanced. The 7-on-7 we've talked about, high school teams, like when you and I were playing high school quarterback, it was like, you threw the ball 14 times this week?
Yeah.
And now they're like, we only threw it 14? Like, what? I threw it 14 in the first quarter. It's just a different game that way. And then where I just wonder if this is going with the receiver thing a little bit is like somewhat running back-ish. All right, so first off, you mentioned your Lions receivers. That was before the rookie salary cap. So those were big-time gambles. Like, you had to pay guys like $50 and $60 million coming into the league, and you're like, you haven't done crap or got open against anybody. Now, I think we might start to see, one, they know how important Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, they change your team. Justin Jefferson, whoa, right away, in the league, change your team, whatever. So I think they see that. And then I think the big contract thing is coming into play here. And because I think teams are going, let's just draft a receiver every 3 years. Every 2-3 years, let's just draft one towards the top. And we'll just keep replenishing. So just in case we get stuck in one of these situations where all of a sudden a receiver wants $30 million a year, we can go, we got a lot of good receivers here. Let's just keep them kind of coming. Kind of like you see maybe the 49ers do with running backs or some teams like that where they know it's an important position. I could kind of see that being the new mantra in the NFL. Let's replace the young guy. Buy A.J. Brown. We're not paying you $100 million. Here's Treylon Burks. Mm-hmm. Here's our new guy. And then we'll see in 3 years, and maybe we'll give him a new contract. If he asks for too much, we'll draft another guy because we think they can come in the league, to your point, and play right away. I do think there's some of that logic in the NFL, for sure.
And teams like the Titans can say, Treylon Burks is not A.J. Brown.
Right.
He can maybe give us, at first year, 60%. maybe 70% of A.J. Brown. And then we'll take that other $20 million or $18 million and use it on a stud defensive lineman or offensive tackle.
Exactly right. Another receiver. I mean, who knows? Yeah, another tight end that helps it out. I mean, yes. I think that's what you're going to see here. And, they're going to hope that, Treylon Burks just has an effect on the offense this year and he grows. We didn't think A.J. Brown was going to be A.J. Brown either. So we'll see. But I thought that was really a cool thing about the first round for sure. And it made me think a little bit as far as the receivers and where it's going.
Also mentioned a cool thing about the first round. Quarterbacks didn't dominate it this year.
It was nice.
People attribute that to the lack of ratings, that there wasn't that high-profile quarterback.
Let it
but
go.
For people that cover it every year, it's cool to have something different. Like, right? Why does it have to be about the quarterback?
Let it go. And then, it got a little annoying at some points in the first round where it was just like every pick was like, is this Malik Willis? Is this Malik Willis? No, it's not. It's not. We only know there's 4 teams that want quarterbacks. It's not this team. Let's talk about some of the other good players in the draft. So we'll get to the quarterback thing in a minute. All right, but
let's get into it right now.
Well, I was going to just give the Georgia thing. I just wanted to hit on that.
You want it? Yeah.
I mean, come on. Georgia with all the players drafted, the first rounders. That's insane. How are they not they're one of the stories of the draft. I mean, they dominated. Let alone the defensive guys, I've been drooling over them, and 5 of them go in the first round.
Yeah.
But that to me is definitely one of the storylines, the 2022 NFL draft, when we look back in history and go, oh, that was the Georgia draft.
Yeah.
That was where all 5 of those all-pro defensive players were drafted. I mean, they're extremely talented. That was cool.
It'll be interesting to see how they all pan out.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I know.
Did they all make themselves better by playing on that team? I always bring this up. I never played at the professional level, but I was playing JV baseball one year and then got called up to varsity for a couple games.
Right.
I was like, oh, man, I got called up. I was like, this is going to be hard. It was easier. I was playing shortstop. I was throwing balls in the dirt.
First baseman was
scooping
better.
it. He's turning double play.
Right.
I looked awesome because everyone else around me was so much better.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how these guys pan out.
No question. It will. It will. I would be shocked if any of them become busts, but who knows? Either way, it is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. My own school, Texas, I'd like to throw some shade on that.
How'd that go?
I mean, how shitty are we? We have nobody drafted. I mean, shitty. How is that possible? The Big 12 sucks. That's the other thing that comes away from the draft. If it isn't for Baylor and Iowa State and Oklahoma, oh my gosh, does it stink. But that's embarrassing. I kept sitting there going, wait, this is the second guy from UT San Antonio I'm watching get drafted, but the UT does not have it. Yeah. So that to me is unbelievable. I mean, no Big 12 players in round 1, and you've heard me. We've talked about this the last few years. They don't play defense in Big 12.
Yep.
And it's like Oklahoma offensive guys. If it isn't for fucking Matt Rule bringing a bunch of speed guys to Baylor, we wouldn't be talking about anybody outside the Big 12 other than Oklahoma and Iowa State.
It was a crazy first round. It was very difficult for anyone to predict, including our own homies. We had the Simms Perfect 10, right? What did we promise? If you got all 10 and went to PointsBet and put the bet on there and you got 1 through 10 correct,
$100,000.
$100,000
free bets.
You were going to come onto this podcast.
Yeah.
You were going to become friends with us.
Right.
We would have been friends. We would have probably hung out 10 years from now.
Definitely. You were going to give him a pair of blue pants to wear.
Yeah,
right.
I would have given you a pair of my blue pants that I no longer wear. We would all hung out together. That didn't happen, though. We had 224 entries, though. One person did make it a perfect 5 for 5.
Oh, okay.
But then had Kenny Pickett to the Panthers at number 6.
Oh, yep. The old quarterback thing got you. Yeah.
I still feel like we should shout it, send a note to that guy, say, good job. You made it as far as everyone else.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to give him a shout out for
that?
top 5. Yeah, they're working on it in the back. We'll get something together and give them some love. Top 5 in a row is pretty damn good.
And give him a $10 gift card to our cafeteria here at Stanford.
No question.
If he's ever in town.
Well, and then all right, so let's get into the quarterbacks because this might be a good jump off spot too.
Okay, perfect time.
Because
that's the one thing.
Yeah.
That of all the things, and you were talking about this before we started.
Right.
The betting markets were spot on with a lot of this stuff.
What? Definitely.
They know stuff.
What?
Jay Croucher from PointsBet.
Definitely. All over it. I mean, I will next year pay attention to the betting markets way more.
Are you really?
100%. They were almost spot on about everything. I mean, everything that got close to the draft and close to the time of the pick, it was almost spot on. I mean, Stingley at 3, as much as I didn't want to believe it and think that, and I know other people in football were like, I just can't imagine Nick Caserio doing that. Boom, they were all over it. Thibodeau, I'm sitting there going, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole around pick 4 or 5. Pick 5 off the board. A half a spot worse than the markets, set him at. So, yeah, I mean, round 2. I'm turning on the draft round 2. It's 10 minutes before. most betting markets have Logan Hall, the defensive end from Houston, as the first pick. The Bucs are up. The first pick of the second round, Logan Hall. I mean, it was off the charts, and it just continued to where I know I was told teams are paying attention to it. And I will too now, from now on, because obviously somebody's giving inside info somewhere.
So the one thing that they didn't quite nail, I think, was the quarterbacks. Because I think there was an idea that there would be, I think, 2.5. Was that the over-under, Pete?
It was 2.5. I always went under. I went under the whole time. I will say that.
So we had one. And if you and the betting market favored the over, so they were thinking maybe 3 quarterbacks in the first round. And so if you were thinking there'd be 3 quarterbacks in the first round, even if you included the second round, you were still wrong because it was just 1 quarterback in the first 2 rounds, Kenny Pickett, 20 to Pittsburgh, and then you had to wait till round 3. Desmond Ridder off the board in round 3 to the Falcons, and then Malik Willis in round 3 to Tennessee, and then Matt Corral. Carolina finally got their quarterback in the draft, round 3. Sam Howell didn't go until round 5. Bailey Zappi from Western Kentucky went to the Patriots.
They got their Brian Hoyer.
So
that's their Brian Hoyer for the next 10 years.
So, how surprised were you about where the quarterbacks went?
Well, surprise. I mean, again, the betting markets were wrong there. I mean, this is one where the NFL didn't know this. Like, this wasn't going – there was plenty of teams in football that thought Atlanta was taking Malik Willis at 8. I had people like, hey, have you heard anything about Malik at 8 to Atlanta? We're hearing the thing. So, like, the league didn't even know where these quarterbacks were going to fall.
How does that happen, though?
Well,
because
like, the
evaluation of a guy
is such a jump-off position. It is beauty in the eye of the beholder. Mm-hmm. Again, some teams like Johnny Manziel, John Gruden thought he should be the first 24 picks of the draft. I was going, you don't pick him before pick 68. What are you talking about? Like, I know a bunch of friends that didn't have anything better than a 3rd-round grade on Johnny Manziel. So that's where it's the quarterback. It's how many are out there to possibly get. We're desperate. We need our one. Beauty in the eye of the beholder. We see something. There's only a few out there this year. We got to get ours now. Let's get it. I think all of those play into the fact to where, teams don't know. Again, we've seen some really not talented quarterbacks get drafted in the top 10. So, I just think between that. But so then it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, right? We get no quarterbacks. There goes Kenny Pickett off the board, right? We came into the draft, first off, kind of knowing the 4 or 5 teams that need a quarterback. There's not many teams that needed it. That's what it was a weird year, So you look at it and go, wait, we came into the draft going, Pittsburgh, okay, maybe the Saints, we're not sure. But Chris has been trying to tell you the Saints think they're ready, and they're not, I don't know about the quarterback in round 1 because they think they're one of the better teams in the NFC. So they got 2 guys that can play for them right now. Okay, wait. Oh, the Tennessee Titans maybe for the future. Maybe because Tannehill and nobody can get off the interceptions in the playoff game. Atlanta Falcons. Oh, yeah, okay, Atlanta Falcons, sir. Oh, and then the Carolina Panthers. Right. And it's like that was it. So those are your teams that you knew. So then once they got out of the first round, right, Kenny Pickett gets addressed. Now I think the rest of those teams look at it and kind of go, well, we don't have to be desperate here. There's only a few teams left that really need quarterbacks, and there's actually more quarterbacks than available chairs.
Yeah.
So I think they sit back and wait. And then, of course, with the value of the second round and some of the great players that we know that were there to be had this year, it kind of trickles down. And then teams that don't want it, like, again, a team that has an established starter or somebody they're really in on, they're not going to take Malik Willis at the end of the second round, even though they go, well, we had a first-round grade on him. They don't want to start a quarterback controversy and deal with all that either.
They go, you see what happened with Jordan Love?
Well, it just all those issues come up. So then you just start to do that. Like, oh, gosh, well, Malik Willis, I mean, if we draft him in the second round and our quarterback comes out and plays a few bad games, everyone's going to go, well, this guy should have been a first-rounder. Did we want to throw him in there and put him in the game? So it all kind of funnels that way, and I think that's what leads to the drop eventually, let alone we said these players weren't perfect. Pickett was the most ready, schooled, ready to play, Mac Jones light-ish type of guy.
Yeah.
And then I think Malik Willis and Corral had more things off the field than maybe I realized, really. I knew there was some immaturity and some things like that, but I think it was a little bit more than maybe we realize in NFL circles.
And you need to be sold on that for the quarterback, right? Of all positions.
Definitely
right?
the most important. Definitely.
Other positions, defensive tackle maybe is a little bit of a wild
quarterback. They
card.
want stable human beings that are smart, dependable, and everything. And that's why Desmond Ridder got drafted by the Falcons, because they went, you know what? Let's just go with the guy that there was no transfer issues and going to Liberty and immaturity issues there. And then, yes, the guy's talented but very raw and doesn't play in the pocket that well. Corral, we've heard he was a knucklehead young, and, whoa, alcoholism is involved. I mean, yeah, teams don't want that as their franchise quarterback, so that scares them, no matter how good the talent is. Then you got Ridder, who, yeah, he's got issues on the field, but damn, he's probably got the best people skills. He's good on the board. He does have some potential and some things we like about him. Let's just go with that guy, a guy that's a leader of men. We can count on him. We know he's going to work hard and do the things to get better, and let's do that. And at quarterback, I think that gets valued more than any other position.
Yeah, what were you saying there, Pete, about the quarterback? Oh, yeah, we don't know exactly what the issues were.
Alcohol
off
issues.
the
Listen, I've been saying this. Him drinking with the head coach, being a college kid. I'm not trying to judge. Me of all people. Again, I'm not. There was depression has been thrown out there this weekend by a number of the NFL insiders.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to judge or anything. I'm not a perfect person.
We don't know.
Exactly. I'm just saying that was out there.
Yeah.
I think it's a real thing, and that's what led to some of the issues of why these guys kind of fell as far as they did.
So who do you think
out
of the quarterbacks that went after Kenny Pickett? Because obviously, Pittsburgh thinks that Kenny Pickett can be a guy. That's why you take him in the first round, right?
Yeah.
So it might not be this year, but it could be next year. But who knows? It could be this year.
It could be this year.
Of the other guys, who do you think gets on the field first in a non-injury situation?
Gotcha. I'm going Corral. I'm going to go
Matt Corral, Carolina Panthers.
I am going to go with Corral. I know enough good things about Corral, too. I know a few people in the world, all right? I know this kid is he's got the things we've talked about, some checkered history or whatever else. I know a lot of good things, too, about the kid. And, again, I'm just a believer in the talent. I'm a believer in the talent. I'm a believer in the personality I see on the field when he's playing the game. So that's where I'll go with it. And, they have a weapon. I think he fits that offense. He has those Aaron Rodgers-ish type skills, quick release, fling it anyway, just flick it with the wrist 30 yards. And guess who Aaron Rodgers' coach was one day? Ben McAdoo. Right, so to me, he fits their scheme and their style of play. And, after Pickett, to me, he's the most ready. I think he's still the most ready after Pickett. His offense wasn't perfect, but he did a lot of NFL type of things that I like and see. And, of course, I believe in his ability. I think his ability is big time.
We're going to get on to the teams that you thought did a great job in this overall draft. But last thing, Sam Howell, 5th-round pick.
Yeah.
First pick in the 5th round, going to the Washington Commanders,
right.
A junior. People thought maybe he was going to be the number 1 overall pick last year.
This is a great theme again here.
But for him, man, if he could do it over again, he'd probably go back to school, right? Because you mentioned a couple things, right? Obviously, his stock was down this year compared to what it was last year. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't go up, but maybe more teams need a quarterback. This was a weird year with quarterbacks. I don't know. If you're Sam Howell sitting there right now, you're going to Washington. You're getting your chance to go in the NFL, but maybe you think man, dang, I should have maybe gone back 1 more year.
100%. I don't, yes. I don't know what the information he got coming out when he made the decision to think that, okay. Him and Carson Strong, I would look at both of them and go, I don't know what they were thinking. Stay in school, play more. Look at the guy that just got picked first. He was there for 6 years. He improved his stock. Right, his last year. I looked at him last year and I went, it's a mid-round pick. And then this year I go, well, maybe he is towards the top of the first. Holy crap. So, yeah, there's issues. Hey, he can play in the pocket, Sam Howell. He can do that. He can go through reads. He plays a style of football that would scare me. Is not going to translate to the NFL. He's kind of poor man's Baker Mayfield. He likes to run and scramble and do that, but he's not all that fast. I don't think that's going to work. And then, I don't know if you were here the day we broke down the quarterbacks or not, but he has a mechanical flaw in the fact that he never gets his front shoulder close to the target. He almost has his chest, like his pectorals are to the target as he throws the ball. I haven't seen too many quarterbacks in the history of football that have been successful that way. So that scares me. But, yeah, those are things you go, who talked to you? Why didn't somebody tell you? And you could go back and work on those things and then show, hey, I'm not taking sacks. I'm not doing that type of stuff. I fixed this. And teams would go, oh, okay, wait, there's something here. But, Washington's the perfect example of, let's take this guy. I don't want to take Malik Willis and Matt Corral. they're going to be too talented. It's going to have a controversy. Everyone's going to go, oh, as soon as Carson Wentz has 2 bad games, everyone's going to go, well, a lot of the people thought they were first-round picks, put them on the field. So they went with the guy that they don't have to deal with that. See, and that leads to the falling of talented Malik Willis, Matt Corral types.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, they got a team.
Happened to me.
They got a chance. Happened to Chris. Now you're sitting next to me.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe 10 years from now, Malik will be sitting next to me.
Maybe he will. Maybe he'll take my job.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.